Good morning. It is Monday morning and I am starting sorting out my base product project. So I'm going to a wedding in less than 2 weeks. It's a family member's wedding, so I don't want to look like crap. And I just find that no matter what I put on my face, it sort of starts flaking off throughout the day. Now I've got oily skin, so if I don't set my base, it tends to sort of wear off, but if I do set my base, it becomes too dry. And I've tried different powders, I've tried different things, I've tried different bases, it's driving me crazy. So what I'm doing over the next sort of 2 weeks is I'm going to document what I'm wearing and I'm going to adjust one thing a day. So today I've done my base, obviously, and on this side of my face, I've put a gripping primer. This is the Cover FX gripping primer. And we're going to see if it makes a difference. So I'm going to check back in later in the day and show you, has it made a difference? Has that one step made a difference? Throughout the next 2 weeks, I'm also going to do things like different finishing sprays, priming sprays, primers, extra moisturizer, different powders. I'm going to try different things just to figure out how to get my base to wear all day, because it's not. I even bought a fancy foundation being like, okay, this is what people wear to weddings. It's fancy, it's expensive. It doesn't wear on me. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to show you what I currently have on my face. I'm going to rotate through different concealers and different foundations just to see, just because I want to play with different things and see what works and what doesn't. But I'm going to change one element each day. And then when I find something that works, I'm going to try it on the expensive foundation. So for my base today, the thing I've changed is one side obviously is the primer and one doesn't have the primer. I've put on the Purito BB cream. I've only used this like once, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. I'm using my Kat Von D concealer that I'm trying to pan, and I'm using this Sigma powder. So it is the Soft Focus Setting Powder in Vanilla Bean. Actually smells like vanilla, which is quite nice. So that's my base today. That's what we're documenting. We'll see how it wears soon. Okay, I'm at my parents' place. This is the 3-hour wear. I thought to link these videos, I'm just going to reply to comments in the original video so you can sort of see updates. So I've got some major glasses marks from driving here. This looks quite bad, but this is actually quite a lot worse. Like a lot has come off. So the gripping side has gripped it slightly more, but the rest is looking fine. But you know, it's only 3 hours. What I tend to do to fix these is I just tap them and just sort of blend them in. That's how I get rid of these. Let's see if actually the gripping primer makes it harder to tap. You can always use concealer or powder to touch these up, but I just feel like it ends up getting a bit chunky and heavy looking, and this is actually harder to blend in because of the primer. But that's all I sort of do to fix it. One good thing though is that this hasn't made it sort of chunk off. Some base products, if you tap it, it starts to lift and sort of pull the product off, but this is okay. So that fixing that, but that's how it's wearing at 3 hours. Definitely more removing from the sunglasses on the non-prime side, but the rest of it looks pretty much the same. Okay, this has been on for over 8 hours now. Look at this. This is the side with the primer, and okay, I'm sure some of it is my fringe and my grey hair. But see how what is this doing? What is that doing? Why is this? It is wearing off a lot more here. It's looking nice on the sides of my face, which is where I'm normal. Chin, both sides have pretty much worn off. This isn't wearing off nearly as bad as this. So I think the gripping primer is gripping it. There is a little bit of wear here, but it's still not wearing well is my problem. And this is the issue that I have, is that it does sort of come off. And so if I don't set it properly, it's more inclined to just come off. I've also got sand on me from the beach. But then if I do set it too much, it looks too dry. So what do I do? So yeah, I feel like the primer's working a bit, but it's not making the base look great, if you know what I mean. So better, but not the best situation. I've got to make this snappy because this is the 5th time I've filmed this, and I feel like maybe TikTok's saying you've posted too much today. So it keeps like cancelling it when it's too long. Can I definitively say that this primer works a treat? No, because on this side, I've got about this much makeup left on my face at the end of the day. And on this side, I've got about that much. They're my areas of normal skin, mind you. So I'm struggling. If this is not oily, it's not smearing off because it's oily. If anything, it's probably like flaking off a little bit because it's dehydrated. I'm really struggling. For the people that are like, use a finish, like a setting spray and powder and set, that makes my skin really dry and just flake the foundation off. If I try to use something more hydrating and less setting, my oily skin just lets it slide off throughout the day. So I'm at this weird sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of situation, and that's what I'm trying to sort out in the next 2 weeks. I might talk about it a bit more tomorrow since TikTok is hating me at the moment. They're saying, Kat, you've maxed out on your minutes, GTFO, and that's fair. I want to have a shower and wash this off, but I would say that this primer, I think there was more of a noticeable difference at like the 4 or 5 hour mark, but then it reaches a point where it really doesn't do that much of a difference, at least with this base and at least with my skin at the moment. So yeah, slight difference, but it's not as if I've got a full face of makeup and then this is just a patch. Like, they're both sad patches. So I would say that's unsuccessful, but we might combine it with something a bit later on after we've done more tests. So I'll be back tomorrow. Day 2 for my base test. Today I'm pretty much using the same products as I used yesterday. I'll show you them, but I've switched up the primer. So instead of it being a gripping primer, it is actually skincare. It is this product here, the AHC Luminous Glow Real Eye Cream for Face. So it is like a face cream, but I feel like it works really nicely as a primer. I've used it in the past. One thing to note is that on this side, so I pretty much did besides powder and blush, I did my whole face with my fingers today because, you know, besides mascara and pencil and whatever, because I've got a baby crawling around the bathroom and I don't have time. So I did find the BB cream I used didn't stick very well over this. So I found that that's one limitation of quite a hydrating base, is that your product sort of slides around a little bit more. Mommy, it takes a bit more to stick,
lollipop,
but lollipop. Okay, just hang on a sec. Yeah, so this side has the hydrating base and this one doesn't have any base, but these are the products I used. I don't know why TikTok is hating me today, but it won't let me turn the camera around. So this is what I'm wearing. Powder is the same as yesterday, so the Sigma powder. Oh, Kat Von D concealer that I used yesterday. And then the base product is the AHC. The BB cream is by Purito. So let's see if the Korean duo works well together and lasts well on my face. I'll do some check-ins, but so far, again, I feel like this didn't sit as well because it was just moving on the base too much. This one looks like it sat a little bit better on the base, but I'll check in later. All right, time for a 7-hour check-in. Hello. So that side has no primer, that side has the hydrating primer. You can see it's a lot shinier. That one's a lot more matte and dull. Using a hydrating primer underneath has definitely added moisture to the skin, but it hasn't made it wear any better. So that one you can see some sort of marks and spots popping through. This one there's a little patch of you can tell it's a little bit drier, but I feel like that's actually wearing better than this one. And if I was to touch that, that would smear. Longevity wise, they're both looking average at best. All right, day 3 of base test, and I have just sprayed the crap out of this side of my face with a setting spray. You can see the division. I just held up my hand like this, but you can see not set. But I wanted to give an update yesterday because I didn't get to check in. My kid was not letting me have a break, so I took some photos. So this is about 10 hours wear. This is on the hydrated side, so the side with the primer, and it's wearing off a lot, but it's wearing off a little bit more evenly than it did on the non-hydrating prime side. So this is the non-prime side. You can see it looks a lot drier and it's sort of like coming off in chunks rather than just wearing down. So there was a difference. They both sort of wore not the best though, so I don't really have a preference. I think this is easy to touch up, so if you just had a bit of concealer you can sort of pat it on that area. The other side was a lot of it was removed, but it was removed a lot more evenly. Today I didn't actually have much time to do a full day wear test, so all I'm doing is I'm wearing a powder foundation. This is by Laura Geller, and I nearly dropped it. It is the Baked and Balanced Glow, so it's the illuminating one, so it does have a bit of a shine to it. And I just used the same Kat Von D concealer that I was wearing the past few days. So that's all I've done. I put some concealer under my eyes, around my nose, on a blemish, and then I just used the powder foundation for the rest of it. But the thing that I've changed is I'm going to use my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. This one doesn't say it, but this is like a customized one. So I sprayed that very liberally on this side of the face because I wanted to see if there's a difference. The main reason I thought I'd test this today is because I know this powder foundation, it does wear off after like 4 or 5 hours. That's all I'm going to really wear my makeup for. I've been into the pool today, so I haven't had much time, but you can definitely see there is a difference with the finish. So it adds like this sort of hairsprayed effect, which I don't know if I like. I think this looks just a lot more natural, but we'll see if it makes a difference in the wear time. It does feel a little bit like heavier as well, so here feels a bit tacky, but again, I did spray it a lot because I want to see a difference. So I'll check back in to see if the setting spray makes much of a difference. All right, this is an interesting result. So this is 5 hours wear. So this is the side that just had concealer and powder foundation. You can see that a lot of my skin has come through. It's pretty much the concealer that's around my nose, but that's breaking down. I don't know if you can see that properly, but it's starting to like break down in the nook of my crease of my nose. This side looks a lot better. Like a lot of redness, a lot of sort of chunking up and oiling, and that looks a lot smoother. Yes, some has worn off, but it's not like the concealer is all intact. So is it crazy dramatic? Probably not the crazy, but it's obviously worked. So Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, if you douse your face with it, there is a noticeable difference. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, like even from a distance, that looks a lot more even in terms of like things are wearing off. So my skin is looking quite pink, but the product that's left looks a lot more even. This looks a lot patchier and wearing off a lot patchier. So I definitely think a good setting spray is going to be incorporated into my new base routine. In fact, I actually had another one of these unopened, put in a bag to give away to a friend. I think I might fish it out because I think I might keep this out and use it. This one I've had for years. I used it a few times. I didn't think it made that big a difference, but I never did a side-by-side comparison. So yeah, I think hydrating base and some layered products and then like dousing it with setting spray, that might be what I'm going to try soon, but I'm quite impressed with that difference. There we go. Just thought I'd turn the camera around. This is my back camera, so you can see it a lot clearer because I was just having a look and you can't see it, like the front camera is not showing it super well. See how that's like, I got to do my nails. I went to the pool today. It's all coming off. See how that's like chunking up, but this isn't. Like there's wiping. I think I had some spicy noodles for lunch, but you can see the difference. Like that's crazy, isn't it? So yeah, does something. Good morning. I've had my makeup on for about an hour, but I can finally tell you what I'm doing today. So I'm testing, I'm trying to like combine things I learned throughout the days rather than just test one thing a day. I'm trying to like build on what I've learned. So yesterday I learned the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray does keep your makeup in check. So what I'm doing today is I'm using it all over the face. So that's not going to be, you know, the thing I'm testing because I know that it works. So I'm testing it alongside a different hydrating primer. So I used a hydrating primer the other day, but it was like a skincare product. This is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. So I want to see how this works with my makeup because I find that really hydrating products even though they're great and they make my base look good throughout the day, it doesn't extend the longevity. So we're going to see the combination. So half face has this same half as I've been testing throughout the whole thing, and then what I'm wearing as a foundation is my Project Pan one. So this is my Kat Von D True Portrait foundation. It's a little bit more high coverage, it's a little bit more matte, so we'll see how the combination goes. I'm using the same concealer that's my Project Pan one. Hang on, I've got to find it. So the Kat Von D concealer, again in my Project Pan, and also the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder. So this setting powder is nice because it gives a bit of luminosity. I've got a highlighter on. Gives a bit of luminosity to the skin, so it doesn't like look like it's drying it out completely. I am trying to look for a powder that can set my base but not set it to like matte and dry. So I'm going to play around with different powders. But yeah, and then the setting spray obviously over the top. So the thing I'm playing with today is seeing how the setting spray works in combination with the more hydrating primer. So primer on this side, no primer on that side, and we'll see how it wears. I'm actually getting my hair cut today. I'm so excited. All right, 3 hour wear time. I'm just about to go get my hair cut, but I thought I'd check in. Makeup is looking really good. I particularly like the side with the hydrating primer, but I feel like the side without it looks good as well. So maybe the foundation, powder and finishing spray, setting spray combo is doing some really great stuff, but I feel like the hydrating side just looks a little bit smoother, but there's no real wearing off. There's no degrading. Everything's looking great. Nice and smooth. Happy. There we go. 3 hours. All right, 7 hours wear. So half face using Bobbi Brown, vitamin enriched face base, and this side had no primer. They both look really good, but I think this is looking slightly better. So around my nose, I might turn it to the front facing camera so you can see it a bit clearer. This is not breaking down, but here it's breaking down a bit. You see how it's breaking down a little bit around my nose? The difference is quite dramatic, isn't it? I don't know if it's stopping it from getting dry or just keeping it together more, but it just looks a lot more flawless. So making a difference. All right, it is day 5 of testing my base. I'll show you the products I use, but it's pretty much everything I used yesterday, but today I'm varying the powder. So I'm using the same Bobbi Brown sort of hydrating base. I'm using the same Kat Von D foundation and concealer that I'm trying to use up, changing up the powder and using the Urban Decay setting spray. So what I've got on this side is I've got a Laura Mercier. This is, what is it even called? Invisible Loose Setting Powder in Universal. It's one of those like white sort of translucent, very, very mattifying powders, but very sort of thin. I have noticed that it sort of makes the hairs on my face stand up a little bit more. So it must really like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. And then we've got the Nakia Joy. This is the Velvet Finishing Powder. Now, this is a slightly tinted powder. It is supposed to be like a translucent, but it does have a slight color to it compared to the white. I found on me, it makes like my concealer area look a little bit more yellow, which I don't like the white because it looks a bit powdery, but the color isn't the right color for me anyway. So colors aren't the best. This one does seem to give a tiny bit more coverage, and it seems a little bit more dense, so it's not as finely milled and sort of just dusts on. It sort of packs on a little bit more, which I don't know which one I prefer. They both feel nice and set. I just feel like under here my concealer area feels a little bit more heavier, if that makes sense. So we'll see how these wear today. I'm curious because powder I've had issues with recently. So these are the base products: primer, foundation, concealer, setting spray, and the 2 powders that I am testing. All right, it's been 6.5 hours since I did my makeup. Besides the fact that I've got sunglasses marks, which is fine. I've been out, it's sunny, wearing sunglasses, that's totally not a problem. That looks pretty even. From afar, both sides feel and look very even. But I think if I turn the back camera on so you can see really close up, the Laura Mercier side looks a little bit drier and a little bit more powdery. And this also looks a little bit smoother on the forehead. It feels fine, but everything is looking fine. It's been a warm day. We've been out and about, and this is holding up really nicely. Not sure if you can see, but around here, it's like there's a little bit of gathering of powder, and it sort of looks a little bit powdery
in these areas. Also, the lines look a little bit more prominent there. Like, that's just dehydration lines, not a problem. But they're not as obvious here, if that makes sense. So you can see that there's lines sort of there and not there. And then again, doesn't have that dryness that I've got, sort of that powderiness that I've got here. So I think I've learned a lot this week in terms of how to get some longevity with different foundations. So definitely hydrating base for me stops things sort of breaking down. I do need to set with a powder. Like, I don't even think there's a point testing a day where I don't have powder on one side, because I know my skin gets oily and sort of it just transfers off and just slides off. But I think the setting spray and the hydrating primer has been really good. I think next week I'm definitely going to try hydrating spray. I'm going to try different hydrating primers, a different setting spray, because I think I've got one other setting spray, and different foundations to get like the perfect pairing. But so far I think I've made some really good progress. And the way that this is worn today on a really warm day, I'm super happy. So yeah, also people wanted to know what twinkly eyeshadow I have. This is a gorgeous eyeshadow. So it's from the Kaleidos Quad. It's that shade there. I just put it with a bronzer in the crease. And I would honestly buy this quad, which is called Venus Trap, for that silver sparkly shadow, because it's the most twinkly, like delicate, gorgeous. It's like a silvery twinkle, but it doesn't have like a frosty sort of base or anything to it. It's so gorgeous. If you like some fairy twinkle, it almost looks high end, but I don't know, I love it. Like delicate and feminine and pretty. It's just like almost like a one and done with maybe something in the crease. Anyway, it's that, and I would buy this quad just for that shade. They should have it in a single because it's beautiful. Anyway, I'm gonna go. All right, 10 hours wear. I forgot to link the 6.5 hour wear in the comments. So if you're watching the original video and you're looking for updates, there is another one. Okay, I've been rubbing my face a lot because I'm tired and I want to take this off. Look how beautiful this eyeshadow is. It's just so twinkly and just so magical and just so subtle. But this, like this lighting, okay, yeah, it's transferring because I'm like, had enough of the day. But this lighting really captures how like twinkly and beautiful it is. Look, there's wearing off happening. It's feeling a little bit dry, but I have been like rubbing my face and I'm tired and it's enough. But in terms of how both powders are wearing, they're both feeling the same. They both are feeling a little bit dry, to be honest. I wonder, can you layer finishing sprays? Like, should I put a hydrating finishing spray on and then like a hydrating spray and then a finishing spray? Is that something I should do? Because it's feeling a little bit dry, and I feel like if this was a little bit more hydrated, it might stay together a little bit more. So maybe I'll try layering them next week. But I just wanted to show you, they're wearing the same. Powder's wearing the same, feeling the same, but they're feeling a little bit dry. So not much difference with the powders, to be honest. Besides, at the 6.5 hour check-in, there was just a little bit more powderiness with the Laura Mercier, but powder's not that different.